Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to unpack a remarkably profound conversation that starts with a really simple everyday observation. Have you ever noticed how some of the most complex life lessons come from the absolute most innocent places? Well, today we're looking at this beautiful little vignette, a short interaction between an 8-year-old girl named Rashi and her parents. Now, on the surface, it's just a quick bedtime chat, but as we break down this dialogue together, you're going to see what is basically a masterclass in psychology, learning styles, and that constant tension between who we naturally are and what the world demands us to be. We're going to explore the quiet rhythm of growth and how we actually navigate the noise of the world while trying to hold on to our own reflection.
So our story kicks off right here, with this incredibly evocative question from 8-year-old Rashi to her mom. She asks, "Why does the clock tick louder at night?" It's one of those brilliant observational questions that honestly only a child can ask. Picture it. Rashi is lying there, the whole house is quieted down, and suddenly, this sound that she totally ignored all day long is suddenly dominating the room. It feels louder. It feels way more insistent. And this innocent little question is about to pull us directly into a mystery that serves as the core metaphor for our entire discussion today.
Now, the mother doesn't just brush it off and say, "Oh, it's just quiet now." No, she offers this brilliant insight. She explains to Rashi that the clock doesn't actually tick any louder at night. It just seems that way because it's literally the only noise left. She validates Rashi's observation about the daytime. Like, yes, there is so much noise at home during the day. That daytime noise is loud, it's chaotic, and it's super distracting. And it completely masks the silent, consistent ticking of that clock. The clock is always doing its job, you know? It's always keeping the rhythm. But its steady presence is entirely overshadowed by all the hustle and bustle of the day.
And this is where the mom drops this absolutely beautiful piece of imagery to expand on the clock metaphor. She says, "Just like the moon and stars are always there, but the life of the daytime hides them." This isn't just about acoustics anymore, right? It's about visibility, it's about presence. The stars don't just magically vanish at noon, they are simply outshone. And this perfectly connects to the idea of introverted, reflective, or deep-thinking individuals. Think about it. There are people in our classrooms and our workplaces who are always there, silently and consistently working, but who are often completely hidden by the daytime light, the louder, more extroverted voices in the room.
Which brings us to a really pivotal moment of self-reflection for an 8-year-old. Rashi internalizes this metaphor instantly and asks her mom this deeply profound question. Should I be like the clock, always there and silently working? Or like the daytime noise? I mean, wow, this is the central conflict Rashi is facing. And honestly, it's one so many of us face every single day. It's that constant tension between our natural, maybe quieter tendencies and the really loud expectations of the world around us. Rashi is just trying to figure out her place in the world. Which strategy is better? Which identity is actually more valuable?
Section 1, the classroom dilemma.
When her mom asks, where is this coming from, Rashi reveals the source of her anxiety. Her teacher told her, "Speak more often in class and respond to the questions. That way I will be noticed." It's a classic classroom dilemma. The teacher is undoubtedly well-meaning here, offering what they believe is the absolute formula for success. But notice the inherent extrovert bias in this. The advice is entirely predicated on the idea that visibility and verbal participation automatically equate to engagement and success. The teacher is essentially telling Rashi to be the daytime noise, that making sound is literally the only way to prove you are present and learning.
But then, when the mom asks Rashi what she actually likes to do, Rashi outlines a highly effective, albeit very quiet, learning style. She says she likes to, step 1, absorb whatever is being taught and discussed. Step 2, think over it and really understand it. And only then, step 3, respond. This is a brilliant breakdown of deep, methodical processing. It takes time, it requires silence, it is the exact opposite of instantly throwing your hand up in the air to speak. Rashi is validating her own intrinsic, clock-like approach to information, and her mother's response is incredibly empowering. She just says, "Then be that way." She gives her daughter the permission to fully trust her own rhythm.
Section 2, the corporate reality check.
Now, here's where things get kind of tricky, because we hit a fascinating tension. On one hand, we have mom's very nurturing philosophy. Stay true to your natural learning style, focus on developing yourself, and just be your way. But then Papa steps in and brings a pretty stark reality check.
He points out that the teacher's advice is exactly what will help someone progress in a company. Papa argues that the more noise one makes, the more they get noticed, and the more they grow in the company. And we have to look at this neutrally. Papa isn't necessarily wrong about the mechanics of a lot of modern workplaces. He's highlighting a very real tension between nurturing a child's natural, quiet learning style and preparing them for a highly competitive vocal workforce, where, for better or worse, visibility often dictates your career momentum.
But Mom steps right back in, a bit sternly, to defend Rashi from this corporate anxiety, and she offers a seriously strategic compromise. Develop now, learn to compete later. Mom tells Rashi not to even bother with the corporate stuff right now. She explains that childhood is a phase purely for development. You got to build the core foundation first, in whatever quiet way works best for you. Mom completely acknowledges the reality of Papa's world, adding that later in life, when Rashi actually needs to compete with equals, she'll definitely need to learn how to make her ideas heard. But the core message here is so crucial. You simply cannot project the brutal demands of adult corporate competition onto the foundational learning phase of an 8-year-old.
Section 3. Defining success and creating options.
So Papa kind of assumes that the whole goal of all this studying is simply to get a good job, which obviously implies a standard corporate track where making noise is a literal requirement. But Mom offers a really powerful rebuttal. She says, not really. The objective is to create better options so that she can choose the one right for her. This completely reframes education. It's not just a pipeline. Actually, scratch that. It shouldn't be a rigid pipeline forcing everyone into the exact same loud corporate mold. Education is about expanding your horizons so widely that you can find a niche that perfectly aligns with your own natural rhythm, whether you're the daytime noise or the quiet clock.
To really drive her point home, Mom lists out several career options that exist almost entirely beyond the noise of traditional corporate ladder climbing. She mentions being an inventor, a scientist, a deep tech researcher. These are incredibly impactful, vital roles in our society that practically require a person to be exactly like the clock. They require deep thinking, long periods of quiet absorption, and very methodical understanding before ever responding. Mom is validating that the world desperately needs people who work silently like the nighttime stars, consistently pushing the boundaries of what we know. And just as we are hitting the absolute peak of this heavy philosophical debate about deep tech research and the ultimate purpose of human education, we get this completely hilarious tonal whiplash from Rashi, grounding us right back into the pure joy of childhood. Rashi just announces out of nowhere, "I want to be a wizard and roam around with a white owl." It is such a funny, perfect interruption. It reminds the parents, and us as the audience, honestly, that she is, after all, only 8 years old. Her imagination just isn't constrained by corporate ladders or scientific research labs quite yet. And the source material leaves us with this incredible, playful image. Papa just looks over at the stash of Harry Potter storybooks sitting right there on the shelf that Rashi had been reading. Mystery solved, right? It's just a really charming reminder of how easily inspired kids are by the stories they consume, and why it's so absolutely crucial to protect that space for imagination before the noise of the real world starts creeping in. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and I really want to leave you with the exact same question that Rashi asked at the very beginning. Are you the daytime noise or the steady ticking clock? Take a second and think about your own working style. Do you feel pressured to make noise just to be noticed, or do you actually allow yourself the space to absorb, think, and then respond? And perhaps more importantly, if you're a parent, or a teacher, or a manager, what kind of environment are you creating for the people around you? Are you forcing everyone to shout in the daylight, or are you leaving enough quiet in the room to actually hear the steady, brilliant rhythm of the clock? Thanks for hanging out and exploring this with me. Take some time to reflect on your own rhythm today.